action-packed events which make up the 1991 Shell Oil Super Cup. First off the mark, the Blue Riband event, the 750s, always the formula to watch. This is the way they finished last year. Terry Reimer, who won last year's championship, away today on World Super Cup duty. Brian Morrison, Nation on the Norton. Steve Spray, sadly without a regular bike. Jamie Witham back with Suzuki from Honda and flying. And John Reynolds. Those were the top 6 at the end of last year's championships. And surprise, surprise, across the front row, 5th fastest Jamie Witham, out of the wilderness now, back with his mentor in the Mick Grant Suzuki team. John Reynolds still with Kawasaki, last year's 600 champion on the front row of the 750s. The best privateer in the business, Ray Stringer from Nuneaton, number 17. Ron Haslam out of the Kajiva Grand Prix team, signed for Norton this year. And pole position man, 5th place in the World Superbike Championship last year, Rob McElnea on the Loctite Yamaha. Ron Haslam, 34 years of age, with a wealth of experience, most of it on the Grand Prix scene, has a tremendous following with the UK supporters. And a lot of people around the circuit here today would dearly love to see Rocket Ron, as he's affectionately known, take the Norton to the win. The Snetterton Circuit, 1.952 miles. The riders leave the start up through the gearbox to the first right-hander of Riches, which is 90 to 100 miles an hour, 3rd gear. Across then to Sear Corner, which is down maybe into 2nd gear, probably a 70 mile an hour hard knee on the tarmac right-hander, and then right up through the gearbox to the Revit Straight, 175 miles an hour on the big bikes, coming down through the gearbox, front brake hard on, flicking it left and right through the very tricky S's, exiting the S's up towards the bomb hole, which is a right-hander, 3rd gear, 90 miles an hour, and then up to Coram Curve, a sweeping right-hander, which brings them down to the twice reworked Russell Bend, not popular with any of the riders at all. Before Russell Bend, that was a very fast left-hander. That completes the circuit. It looks very straightforward. That's the way I see it anyway.
Welcome to Snetterton. My name's Roger Burnett. Join me for a lap of this high-speed circuit. Accelerating hard up into the first corner, Richie's corner, taken in 3rd gear, approximately 90 to 100 miles an hour. It's a double apex corner. This is the 2nd apex coming up now, before moving over to the left-hand side of the circuit to get lined up for the very important corner onto the start and onto the main straight. Taken in 2nd gear, Sears corner. Very important to accelerate out of there before we go down the Norwich straight. This is the very fastest part of the circuit. The machine gets up into 6th gear, 175 miles per hour, before braking very hard there at the 200-yard marker board, going down into 3rd gear for the first part of the S's here, then flicking down into 1st gear for the 2nd part. Accelerating out of here, the front wheel lifts in the air there before we go into 2nd, 3rd gear, 90 miles an hour through the bomb hole. The exit there is very bumpy coming out of there, up into 4th gear and into Coram Curve. This corner is a very long corner, very difficult corner, 120 miles an hour. Accelerate out of there hard and then very, very quickly onto the brakes, down into 1st gear. Oh, a rider's fallen there. Let's hope he's not too badly hurt. Accelerating out of the chicane now in 1st gear, 1st, 2nd, 3rd gear, getting up to 6th gear before the start and finish line itself.
Well, as you can see, a very different kettle of fish from the hot seat, but 20 laps now await the riders, 39.04 miles as the 750s get underway. Picking up the lead into the first corner, John Reynolds there, number 6, just got the drop on Rob McElnea, but a long, long way to go. Reynolds on the Kawasaki leads the Yamaha rider with Ray Stringer tucked into 3rd. Alongside me, as ever, is Steve Parrish, European Truck Race Champion, former motorcyclist of no mean repute. Steve, early in the season, the first one, it's going to be difficult to identify riders with new colour and new livery.
Yeah, very much so, but as you see, number 8, Rob McElnea's just gone into the lead on the first lap. He's had nice warm tyres. He started the race with tyre warmers. There's someone off the track. There's number 10, Roger Burnett, is on the grass, but luckily regained control and got back on the circuit.
Well, a bit of a hairy moment for Roger Burnett, number 10, of course. As I said, very difficult to identify these riders. We'll get used to it as we get deeper into the action, but 40 riders starting this thrilling 750cc epic. and the format has changed somewhat in Super Cup. Let me just tell you briefly that there will be 2 750 legs in each Super Cup programme. The points now have been changed in that, whereas in the previous first 2 years we had a 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. So the top 10 scored. We now have 15 places which will score points. 20 points to the winner, 17, 15, 13, and so on all the way down to 1 point for 15th place. That is exactly how World Superbike and Grand Prix system is scored. Easier, Steve, for the riders to catch up if they do have a dodgy ride.
Yeah, you can afford to drop around and still catch up, no doubt. But John Reynolds giving Rob McElnea a hard time here as they come down into the S's. It's going to be a very close race, this. I'm not sure where the Nortons are at the moment, but I'm sure we're going to see Ron Haslam charging up shortly.
There is Ron Haslam, almost a legend in his own right, Ron Haslam, probably one of the most respected riders on the British scene.
Without any shadow of a doubt, Ron has had a terrific career. It has to be said that he's probably in his twilight years now, 34 years old. He's been doing Grand Prix for a number of seasons.
Well, Haslam now having a sniff at Ray Stringer and going through, moving up into 3rd place. So Ron Haslam, number 20, has pushed the Norton past Ray Stringer, the privateer Ray Stringer from Nuneaton on the 750 OW01 Yamaha, has been relegated to 4th place by a flying Ron Haslam on the Black Norton, who's now got John Reynolds firmly in his sights. These 5 now getting away. That's Matt Llewellyn in 5th place, number 15. Matt Llewellyn from Glenfield in Leicester has tacked himself on to the leading quartet. So these 5 now getting away.
Number 6, John Reynolds, has gone through into the lead. He passed Rob McElnea going into the S's. So we now have number 6, John Reynolds in front on the Kawasaki. Rob McElnea close behind him. Rob will possibly at this time be thinking, well, it's a long race, it's a 20-lap race. Let's sit here and see what John's doing, where he's going fast and where I can pass towards the end of the race.
Well, a bit of disappointment for the Team Mick Grant Suzuki effort, because Jamie Witham, number 5, a front row qualifier, has toured into the pits. So Jamie Witham out of the race.
Ron Haslam has now set a new lap record. The circuit's been changed this year from last year, and they've actually now lapped, or Ron has lapped quicker than the pole position time, which was 12.1, 1 minute 12.1 seconds. Ron Haslam has got under the pole position time now.
So Rocket Ron fairly living up to his name. He's locked in the slipstream of Rob McElnea, and the speed of that Norton is evident as he closes down the Revitt straight in dramatic fashion, pulls alongside, and Haslam is on the inside going into the S's, but not quite. Rob McElnea, using all his guile and experience, closes the door firmly on Ron Haslam, who still slots back into 3rd. But still right with them is Ray Stringer, and we can't dismiss Ray Stringer. The vivid yellow helmet of Ray Stringer locked in there in 4th place, and he's now closing on Haslam. So a great 750 race to set the ball rolling.
Sure, and we have to say that I don't think anyone's sitting there watching a great deal. Lapping at 1 minute 12 on the pole position time, they certainly must be trying. And Ron Haslam does have the speed advantage. You see he's losing a little bit on the twisty sections, but he'll be right back with Rob McElnea as they go down the Revitt straight on this final lap. Rob McElnea's gone for the inside line. Is he going to get through? Yes, no, he doesn't quite make it. A back marker holds him up. That was bad luck for Rob McElnea. He took the wrong line at that time.
That's number 31, Duncan Bailey, is the tail ender, who's in severe danger of being swept off into the grass by this flying quartet as they all gallop past. But still it's John Reynolds, and again the speed of the Norton. Just look at the way Haslam rockets past up into 2nd place, and he's going for the lead. He's on the inside of John Reynolds, and Ron Haslam takes 2 in 1 fell swoop. An amazing move by the 34-year-old Norton teamster. Haslam gets the Norton in front, and he's away. Well, how about this for a CV? And this is the way that Ron Haslam's career has stacked up. TT Formula 1 champion in '79, Formula 3 world champion 1980, winner of the Formula 1 TT, Isle of Man 1982, so on, and probably the high spot of his career, 4th place in the World 500cc Championship in 1985, and it was just after then for the rest of his Grand Prix career that Rod was picked up, first of all, by the Elf Honda team to develop their revolutionary hub center steering, and then a season on Kujiva.
Coming up to half race distance now, I see Ray Stringer's moved into third position. He's passed John Reynolds, and this bunch of four really got away from the rest of the pack.
The top six. Tim Bourne is the team member now, the fellow Kawasaki team member of John Reynolds. So Reynolds now having been pushed down to sixth, but he's not too happy about that. He's having another look at Ray Stringer, but his teammate Tim Bourne, who fell very heavily at Thruxton last weekend and gashed his left hand, is in sixth place, putting in an extremely creditable performance. So the manufacturer's lineup at the moment is Norton leads Yamaha leads Kawasaki, another Norton, and then another Kawasaki. So we do not have a Honda machine in the top six. They won't be too pleased about that.
Certainly won't, but John Reynolds again sneaked back into third position, so Reynolds is on the charge again. A lap earlier, he made a bit of a mistake going into Coram Curb. He ran wide and allowed Ray Stringer to go through. Now he's back into third, and he'll be charging as McElnea goes on the outside of Haslam, and he takes it. Rob McElnea on the Loctite Yamaha goes through into first position again.
Well, this is interesting, Steve, because Rob Mack has used the superior outlet braking and the handling of the Yamaha round outside the Norton on the right-hander, but Haslam knows the speed capability of the Norton down that back straight, and as we speak, he winds up the rubber band, and just look at it go. He closes right on the tail end of McElnea again. So it could be that Haslam knows he's got enough in his back pocket to take the win whenever he wants.
Yeah, Ron needs to get onto the Revit straight on the last lap, right in Rob McElnea's slipstream, and then he must know he's got the race in the bag. But what Rob will be trying to do at this moment on the twisty parts of the circuit, he'll be trying to pull enough of a gap so he's broken Ron Haslam away from his slipstream. If he just get about 50 metres in front of Ron Haslam now, he can keep him out of his slipstream as they get on the fast part of the circuit.
Race leader then, Rob McElnea, number 8. On the Loctite Yamaha, pulls an emphatic wheelie as he comes out of the reworked Russell's Bend onto the start-finish straight, past the start-finish line. In second place, still firmly, it's Ron Haslam. The front end of the bike dip as they go down hard on the front brake. Reynolds in third and still scrapping hard. He's just got the better of Ray Stringer when it counts. Trevor Nation now is heading Steve Williams, and Tim Bourne has been pushed back, so the Welshman, number 12, Steve Williams, is scrapping. Now 5th, 6th and 7th. We're with them now. I would have expected to see the Norton of Trevor Nation a bit further up the reckoning, but he appears to be overshadowed by Haslam and the 4 bikes ahead.
Yes, I think the machines are fairly identical, but Ron seems to have got his suspension sorted out a bit better. He's in front of Trevor Nation by quite a long way. Trevor won't be happy about this, and he'll be trying even harder, possibly in the second leg of this race. But at the moment, Ron Haslam is the man on the Norton.
Well, Steve Williams now is gaining in leaps and bounds. He's in 6th place. Number 12, Steve Williams, sponsored by Dennis Trollope of Fowlers down in Bristol there. Dennis Trollope Racing it is for Steve Williams, number 12. That's the secret to success. Get somebody who can fund the project, get the bike screwed together properly, and if a 750 is reliable, that's all you need.
Trevor Nation, you see the rear wheel lift in the air as he braked heavily into Rich's corner. Hard on the brakes, it transfers all the weight from the rear wheel up onto the front wheel. You see the rear of the bike going very light as they brake hard into Sears corner. Now they'll be accelerating out of this corner in 2nd gear, 3rd, 4th, 5th, right into 6th gear to 170 miles an hour before they come to the end of the straight into the S's, which they go into the entrance of that at about 95 to 100 miles an hour.
Race leader then, Rob McElnea. Well into this race now, but Haslam in 2nd place. Can he just wring the neck of the Norton a little bit more? Roger Burnett has now moved up into 9th place, so almost in answer to our call, Burnett is wringing the neck of the Honda as well, moving it up through. Ahead of him is number 36, and that is Mike Edwards. Mike Edwards from Wigan, riding the Tilston's Motorcycles bike. But just look at the scrap going on here now. It's Haslam, it's Reynolds and Ray Stringer. Ray Stringer right there in the slipstream of John Reynolds. This is anybody's race for second, but there is your race leader sliding off the bottom of your picture, Rob McElnea, number 8.
This is a tremendous battle here with these three. Ron Haslam does seem to have the speed advantage. John Reynolds is braking hard into the corner now, followed by Ray Stringer. Very little in it.
The conditions here at Snetterton could not be better. The strong gusty wind, which is often the case here, causes a lot of problems. It's not too bad today. There's a stiff breeze rippling the flags, but it's not causing the riders any undue problems, particularly down the back straight. McElnea tucked in behind the fairing. Has a job. He's a big lad, isn't he, Rob McElnea? Has to tuck down.
Rob is a big guy, the same as Trevor Nation. It certainly makes a difference on these machines. The most important thing is the weight, and if you can be a light rider, then it does help the power-to-weight ratio, but not just the weight, it's the bulk of the body. If you can get behind that screen, get tucked into the fairing, when you're doing 170 miles an hour, it makes a lot of difference. If you're a small-framed person like Ron Haslam, then it really does add to the speed of the motorcycle.
Still in the traffic, it's Haslam with Reynolds, second, third and fourth place. Number 20, Ron Haslam. Number 6, John Reynolds on the Kawasaki. Ahead of them, a tail ender, but that is your race leader. Number 8, Rob McElnea. The camera angle foreshortening it there, making them look a little bit closer than they are. But I can tell you now, the gap between first and second place, 2.4 seconds is what McElnea has over Ron Haslam. And Ron Haslam, in turn, is stretching the gap. He's half a second now ahead of John Reynolds. So just maybe Ron Haslam is getting his finger out and doing something on the Norton if possible, but he's going to have to gallop away now to catch McElnea.
Yeah, Rob's been getting pit signals here, so he knows his advantage, but he'll be keen to keep that 2.4 seconds. It's just about a nice distance. You wouldn't want to let it drop any less, because if Haslam does put on a spurt in these remaining 4 or 5 laps, he could close in. Back markers coming into it a great deal now. Rob McElnea's just about to catch up with some more back markers. He'll be desperately keen to pass them on the straight so he doesn't get held up going into the corners.
Well, former motocrosser number 6, John Reynolds, has been passed down into 4th place again by Ray Stringer. And the dark horse of this race has always been number 17, Ray Stringer. We said at the start, he's got just a little bit left, and he really is closing now on 2nd place. So can Ray Stringer pass the Norton of Ron Haslam? There it is, number 20. There's Haslam. Out goes the knee. The sun beating down here. Still a stiff breeze, but the riders not troubled by it. Lovely racing conditions, and what a great start to the 1991 Shell Oil Super Cup. This is the premier championship in the British motorcycle road race calendar, and it certainly is the one to win.
Yeah, it's very much now the Premier Series, and all the British riders are extremely keen to win this series. We'll see some of the other top riders back at the next round, where there'll be Terry Reimer will be back, and Carl Fogarty and Neil Mackenzie. So this is the British Championship that we've always wanted, where every single top British rider competes in it.
Yeah, the names, of course, there. Neil Mackenzie, another Grand Prix man, and it's good to see them at home on the national scene. Obviously, the television exposure is a big pull, but certainly the total prize fund for this event over the 6 rounds, in excess of £100,000, is not to be sniffed at.
No, undoubtedly not. That's why Rob McElnea's out in front.
McElnea then, lapping number 40. That's Graham Ward from Batley on a Kawasaki. He is now a lap adrift. So McElnea has pulled out 1.9 miles as the riders start the last lap. 1.9 miles ahead of number 40, but still further down behind him, the battle goes on. Ron Haslam, number 20, still in 2nd place, and I don't think he's got any answer now to Rob McElnea, who looks as though he might have this one wrapped up. He certainly demonstrated that by qualifying in pole position. Haslam, however, had last-minute collie wobbles, I think, when the bike was pulled apart on the start line. The race was held up for a few minutes while they sorted out the number 20 Norton, but it all seems to be working very well. Just a little under 1 mile now for Ron Haslam to do in 2nd place as McElnea storms away in the lead. There's your race leader, McElnea, almost touring now. He knows he's got a good lead. What a super run for him this has been, Steve.
Yeah, a lovely victory. He mixed it with the other guys' early stages just to see where they were fast, where the quick points were, and then stretched out that nice advantage, a 3-second advantage at the end there. It's just comfortable as he waves to the crowd as he crosses the line.
McElnea is then who takes the win, but Ray Stringer in the last few yards has grabbed second from under the nose of John Reynolds, and poor old Ron Haslam pushed down to fourth at the death. Confirmation then of the result. McElnea it was who took the win from a storming finish by Ray Stringer from Nuneaton. So Yamaha first and second. John Reynolds overhauled Haslam with yards to spare at the line. Trevor Nation brought the other Norton home, and Steve Williams 6th place on another Yamaha.